But in the GLU, I think the approach of the ANC for me, because I've been observing them, there's no arrogance. But there's also not what nobody says. They are acutely aware that everybody is working for them.
Yeah.
They can deny your show all you like.
Yeah.
The ANC didn't get 50, but they can form a minority government, number one. Number two, the parties, they are shameless, these people. They said, we will never work with the ANC.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they get together and we all get together and we unplug the ANC from power?
Yeah, that's
what they've been singing.
Yeah.
We've not been singing that song. PA said yes to the GNU.
Yeah.
But if you invite me to a restaurant, I will come. If you say my restaurant is opening, do you want to come? We are coming. But depending on what you are serving.
Okay, so basically...
So we know that the DA party has actually many times berated the Patriotic Alliance party led by Gayton McKenzie for what it usually always interprets as a betrayal of the DA party because of its support for the ANC and probably the EFF many times in the provinces. And it's really interesting that, you know, in this video, Patriotic Alliance boss Gayton McKenzie explains the PA's position for, you know, in its approach to relating with the ANC and the DA. Let's listen to how Gayton McKenzie breaks down that relationship, and I'll be back for some really interesting analysis on a report by the DA party on the Patriotic Alliance's support for an ANC-EFF coalition in Johannesburg, and how that support is actually, according to the DA, breaking down Johannesburg in its entire essence.
So tell us now, because you've been in the, you know, in the belly belly of these discussions, how is it going to look like? Are we talking DA, IFP, PA? What is the permutation now? Because nobody is talking. I thought Tabisa saying we agree with GNU, but in sort of nebulous terms.
No, let me tell you first that the GNU is the question the ANC asked, which was an intelligent one. Do you want to form part of the GNU? I think that for me was just very smart. That Mbalula did there, the SG. So they ask. Some party says we don't know. PA said no, we want to be part. We want to be part of this thing. Because our people that voted for us have no jobs.
Yeah.
They have no opportunities. Their CVs get thrown in the bin. We need to change that now.
Yeah.
And you know, JJ, just to come back before I answer your question. What people don't understand, particularly with us, every party has a base.
Yeah.
The ANC's base is black.
Yeah.
The IFP's base is predominantly Zulu black.
Yeah.
The Freedom Front Plus base is white. The DA's base is white. The PA's base is colored. Why is it a problem when coloreds also have a base now? Now they will say we're a colored party.
Yeah.
Because our base is colored. We don't call them a black party or Freedom Front Plus a white party because the base is from that color.
Yeah.
So our base is colored, and we are a colorful party in in our leadership.
Yeah.
While they are just black or just white. If the PA didn't exist, there would have been one or two coloreds there in Parliament. But because of the PA's existence, there's going to be a nicely United Nation vibe going on there.
Yeah.
But in the GLU, I think the approach of the ANC for me, because I've been observing them, there's no arrogance. But there's also not what nobody says. They are acutely aware that everybody is working for them.
Yeah.
They can deny your show all you like.
Yeah.
The ANC didn't get 50, but they can form a minority government, number one. Number two, the parties, they are shameless, these people. They said, we will never work with the ANC.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they get together and we all get together and we unplug the ANC from power?
Yeah, that's
what they've been singing.
Yeah.
We've not been singing that song. Adverts has been taken out and radio adverts. The DA says McKenzie's going to give the ANC back. Now they're the ones bringing the kidney to resurrect the ANC.
Yeah.
But the very same ones that was...
So before we go to a break, where are we now? Are we on DA, ANC, IFP, PA?
PA.
That's all.
At the moment.
At the moment.
We are there. Those parties said yes to the GNU.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's where we are now.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to the ANC,
yeah.
EFF said no.
Yes.
MK said no. PA said yes to the GNU.
Yeah.
But if you invite me to a restaurant, I will come. If you say my restaurant is opening, do you want to come? We are coming. But depending on what you are serving.
Okay, so basically...
Brilliant speech. What do you guys think? Gayton McKenzie, you know, for a long time, I didn't know he actually used to be a motivational speaker, I think. I found a small recent video that did a research on his the streams of income he has after coming out of jail, and one of them was in speaking, public speaking, actually, not motivational speaking, but public speaking. And he's a really good speaker. He really articulates his thoughts, you know, really clearly. And many times I really enjoy listening to him and his stance and his support for many of the coloreds in South Africa as he speaks about that. And that's not my making, but he speaks a lot about how the Patriotic Alliance has its major constituency in standing for the coloreds in South Africa. But anyway, in this really interesting interview with JJ Tabane, he actually explains how the Patriotic Alliance seems to really flow with the ANC, to which the Democratic Alliance frowns at many times. And we've heard Helen Zille and John Steenhuisen speak about this a lot, with Helen Zille actually going as far as saying that the PA actually betrayed the multi-party charter, you know, which sought to grow and engender an anti-ANC perspective to the political landscape in South Africa. But Gayton McKenzie doesn't see it that way. He argues that the PA is more rational in its support for the ANC and really sees, most of its stand for the ANC in light of rationality and not probably inside of support for one party or the other. But anyway, I found a really interesting report by the DA that was made on the 24th of May, 2024, in the whole thing with the budgeting in Johannesburg, right? He speaks about how the Patriotic Alliance props up a doomsday budget in 2024. So this was just 5 days to the elections on May 29th, and we know that John Steenhuisen had actually been calling, even the ad that was made, to rescue South Africa spoke about a doomsday coalition between the ANC and the EFF. And so it appears that in Johannesburg, I've listened to many of your comments, I've read many of your comments, and, there's been a lot of complaints on how many things are breaking down in Johannesburg because of this alliance between the ANC and the EFF or what have you. But anyway, the DA speaks about this budgeting in Johannesburg and actually really blasts the Patriotic Alliance. And I thought that we'll go through what the DA actually sees from the budgeting in Johannesburg to understand while the Democratic Alliance sees the Patriotic Alliance's support for the ANC as really detrimental to many moving parts of South Africa in this regard. So the report says that the Patriotic Alliance has once again supported the ANC-EFF Doomsday Coalition in Johannesburg. Okay, so the Doomsday Coalition wasn't just really initially anticipated at the national sphere, but it actually started growing slowly, even in the provinces, right? Like in Johannesburg, for example. He argues that the ANC-EFF coalition already in Johannesburg was already seen as a doomsday coalition by the DA. It argues that the PA supported this coalition by passing a completely nonsensical budget, right? The DA in Johannesburg again rejected the Johannesburg budget in no uncertain terms. It says that our position has always been that the Johannesburg Council must be dissolved. Our decision to exclude the Patriotic Alliance from any possible coalition talks has been vindicated by its decision to cost ratepayers more while delivering less. Okay, so this is a problem with, the PA support for the ANC and EFF, which is kind of like speaking about how, they say the Patriotic Alliance actually has been excluded from any possible coalition talks due to the fact that it has decided to cost ratepayers more while delivering less services, okay? So it also argues that the budget passed in council in Johannesburg, at the Johannesburg Council, severely short was kind of like severely shortchanges, the residents of Johannesburg with unrealistically increased tariffs in the society. And it says that while residents in Johannesburg face a cost of living crisis, the executive in the city of Johannesburg forces residents to pay more for services that they fail to deliver. So this is the case in Johannesburg at the moment, where it seems that South Africans living in that region are made to pay more at the expense of less delivery of services for which they pay for. So the coalition in Johannesburg actually is made up of the ANC, the EFF, the PA, and Al Jamaa, which the DA calls a doomsday coalition in Johannesburg. It says that this doomsday coalition has brought Johannesburg to its knees while emptying the city's coffers at every opportunity. Now, it says that this budget that had just been passed, alongside with the tariff increases, it increases now, residents now have to suffer. It says that it is only a farce which will only keep resulting in deepening sense of mistrust and dissent towards the Johannesburg executive. Now, it says that while promises of 5,000 housing units to the poor and vulnerable were made during the Doomsday Coalition campaign activities, they allocated 3.2 billion rand. It says that this would likely not be spent, since 1.2 billion rand in grants were returned to the National Treasury already. All right, so it appears that this budget had allocated 3.2 billion, to support the erection of housing units, 5,000 housing units for the poor and the vulnerable. But however, out of the 3.2 units that had been budgeted, 1.2 billion is actually already been returned to the Treasury already. So the promises are kind of like futile, according to the DA. It also says that the coalition, which is now made up of the ANC, the EFF, the PA, and the Al Jamaa, actually also failed those who need help most by not only forgetting them when planning projects, but by not even ensuring that routine maintenance and upkeep takes place. Now, it says that their budget failed because of consistent political infighting in that coalition, so much so that the leader of the Patriotic Alliance assured residents that his party would not vote alongside their failing coalition partners, all right? But however, it says that this week, the budget does not prioritize basic service delivery. The budget that was passed in Johannesburg, it doesn't prioritize basic service delivery, but then it was still passed in the Johannesburg Council chamber with no regard for the residents of the city. Now, it says that the cost of sanitation in the city, according to this budget, will increase with 7.7%, while rubbish lines the streets, you see, and that most basic elements of service delivery actually fail. So it says that the only thing this budget will achieve, the budget by the coalition with the DA party calls a doomsday coalition in Johannesburg, made up of the EFF, the ANC, the PA, and Al Jamaa. The DA calls this the budget created by this coalition, that the role of this budget would be to achieve to make sure that it continuously ensures that lights stay off and taps stay dry and service delivery stays on the back foot. And that, it says that this coalition is securing Joburg's place as a once prosperous world-class African city, but now on the brink of collapse. And I know that, in an interview with Helen Zille, she actually has spoken how she, while driving along the streets of Johannesburg at night, she noticed that many of the street lights weren't working, and she was really wondering what it takes for a city to have the lights stay on, in a city, and why that's so difficult. But anyway, this is kind of like sort of like I thought that we'll just think through what Gayton McKenzie speaks here, how it stands in support for the ANC in this regard, and to really ponder on what might be the reasons for the ANC having support for the PA having support for the ANC despite the DA's criticism, and also why the DA criticizes the PA support for the ANC, in many, in as regards many coalitions in which it has found itself in the provinces and now at the national sphere of things, of the political landscape in South Africa. It's really tricky and how to interpret the Patriotic Alliance's stand in this. But anyway, what do you guys think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments.